Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with the chaos out of Ottawa. In a stunning move, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet. The news comes on the day she was to deliver the government's fall economic statement. As CBC's Rafi Boudjikanian reports, it has fired up the opposition and rattled the Liberal government.
From a minister's departure Justin Trudeau knew about.
I've advised the Prime Minister earlier this fall that I will not be seeking re-election as a Member of Parliament for Central Nova during the next campaign.
To another that landed as a bombshell. Chrystia Freeland, instead of delivering a fall economic statement, publishing this letter, where she wrote, "On Friday, you told me you no longer want me to serve as your finance minister and offered me another position in cabinet. The only viable path is for me to resign." Also saying she and Trudeau have been at odds about the best path forward for Canada, calling out costly political gimmicks the country can ill afford as it faces U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's tariff threat.
What the I mean, how does the Prime Minister, on the eve of a statement that we've been waiting for months, deep six his finance minister and think that things are going to be normal?
The reviews from some of Trudeau's own caucus no less scathing.
Let's put it this way. Firing a Minister of Finance who has served you extremely well is not what I would call a trustworthy move. And that's all.
Should he resign?
Yes.
I've been a great defender, but I just don't see how we move forward. I think he needs to go, yeah.
Calls echoed by the opposition.
Now is the time for a carbon tax election to turn the decision away from me or Mr. Trudeau.
I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to resign. He has to go.
While Trudeau hurriedly had veteran cabinet member Dominic LeBlanc sworn into finance.
Do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear.
As other ministers had this to say about Monday's events.
The moment now is for us to focus on the best interest of Canadians. That's what we're doing.
Chrystia Freeland is a good friend, someone I work with very, very closely. As President of the Treasury Board and Minister of Transport, this news has hit me really hard.
At least 6 Liberal MPs have publicly called on Trudeau to resign today as he meets with his caucus to discuss next steps. Rafi Boudjikanian on CBC News, Ottawa.
And we will have more on the fall economic statement and the ballooning deficit later in the program. But now let's turn to local news. Could the city of Windsor be liable after a van crashed into a home, killing a woman inside a week ago? The family of Rosina Nonievich has hired a lawyer, and he is looking into just that.
So it would certainly appear at this stage that some measure of responsibility is going to rest on the shoulders of the driver and owner of the car, which crashed through the home for obvious reasons. But the first order of business will also be to explore how it came to be that vehicles can drive at a sufficient speed down that street to cause this kind of damage. Rosina's son, Peter, had a sign up on his front yard for some time urging motorists on that portion of Riviera Drive to slow down, to not drive so fast. He'd had at least 2 occasions in previous years in which vehicles had basically come up onto his front lawn and caused damage to his front lawn. So it's part of our responsibilities to this family to determine, how this was allowed to continue and for this family home to be in such a position of potential danger.
Montfortin says it will take about 6 months to repair the damage to the house owned by the Pollock family in South Windsor. And according to their lawyer, their house insurance will cover the house damage and their accommodations in the meantime. Meanwhile, spokespeople from the city say they do not comment on pending legal proceedings. And there are also efforts underway to support the family as they deal with funeral costs and other expenses. A colleague of one of the family members has set up a crowdfunding campaign. More than $11,000 has been raised so far.
I think it hit close to home. We had a Little bit of a similar situation happened to us in 2015. We lost our great niece. She was 6 years old by a driver, a learner driver. They were on their way to the park. A learner driver ran into them and she ended up passing away later that night. So I think just the tragedy of that, just something about this just hit me. And so I thought I wanted to do something to help.
We've got Colette Kennedy with us now for a quick look at weather. Colette, honestly, just a dreary day out there today.
I know, all through last night, fog, and then early this morning, some mist, and then clouds, and then, the rain started to push through, some periods of rain. Just lighter showers kind of left behind. The system's moving pretty quickly, so that's one benefit. A stray shower here or there, not out of the question. It's been at least a mild day. 2 degrees, though, overnight tonight, 5 degrees tomorrow. A little breezy, those winds tonight and tomorrow out of the west, essentially. But we might get some clearing in the afternoon and see a little bit of sunshine. More on that coming up.
Sounds good. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Let's turn now to the Leamington Raceway. It's been a record year for them, and that has meant a boost to the local economy. Dale Molnar has more on the push to expand next season.
They paced in front of us for the first time, leaving with a smile on point. Psycho Stocks in second, Premier Elsa is third.
Leamington Raceway had its best season so far since they began about 10 years ago. It attracted between 600 and 1,000 people on race days this past summer, as opposed to about 500 in 2023. They also posted bets of between $50,000 and $60,000 each race day, compared to $40,000 to $50,000 in 2023. Tom Bain is a member of the Lakeshore Executive for Leamington Raceway. He and his son and grandson, who is the caretaker here, stable horses at this facility in Lakeshore. He says after Windsor Raceway closed in 2012, there were only about 3 horses here. Now all 14 stalls are filled and there's a waiting list to get in. He says that's an example of the economic spin-off benefits from a successful Leamington Raceway.
They get the money not only from the stalls that they ran out, but they grow hay, they grow crops, and then sell them to the local horsemen so that they're selling their hay. You're selling your straw to the horsemen to bed their horses.
Bain says people are coming in from London and Windsor and some from the States. Chris Hanna and his wife Raquel King Hanna of Windsor attend races regularly in Leamington. Their families have both been involved in harness horse racing and they love going.
I think a lot of people don't realize how fun it can be to go and watch the horse races. Because a lot of people, if there's never been their first time, they've never done it before, they don't know what they're missing out on.
And after the races, they also spend money in the area, going shopping and to restaurants. Another example of economic spin-offs.
My favorite place we go to is Calasani's. I love the plants. My home is covered in plants from Calasani's, the donuts, you can't beat that. Yeah, or like if we take, the scenic way back, like through Kingsville or Amherstburg, we might stop and, like the Grove is a great restaurant we like to go to, or the Salty Dog in Amherstburg.
Leamington Raceway had 13 race dates last summer. They were trying to ask for more, but the provincial authority that makes those decisions denied them. But Bain says they will continue to push Ontario Racing for more dates for next summer.
We keep knocking on that door. We've been so successful in that we broke our attendance records, we broke our betting records. We sometimes with the betting, we break them week after week, and things were so great with attendance that we broke the 2,000 mark, and that's more than Toronto or London get combined.
That was the day they had the Wiener Dog races. Bain says the success of Leamington Raceway makes them the #1 track in the region, a reason for them and the county to celebrate and to look forward to the next season, which starts in August. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Lakeshore.
Up next, Lions Mania in Windsor. There's no denying the NFL team has diehard fans right here in our city. And as Chris Ensing reports, a special event over the weekend highlighted that love.
This is something that the Detroit Lions have never done before. They're holding a sponsored tailgate here in Windsor at the Factory House. Everybody inside that tent also doing something they've never done before, cheering on a successful Detroit Lions team that's favored in some places to win the Super Bowl.
It's been awesome. It's a lot of fun, a lot of long years. Now that we're looking good, it's been a lot more exciting.
It's really exciting. I didn't really know
something like this would be going on in the neighborhood. We just live around the block, so we're really excited being out here.
You've been inside that tent, bud?
Yeah, it was crazy in there.
Oh, it's such a different feeling. I've been a Lions fan for all my life, 40 years plus, and this is a new experience. It's like Lions mania around here these days.
It's insane how much fans they have here over the border, like insane.
The amount of fans in Windsor, it's all Lions fans. There's a couple people that tried to come in here and wear their jerseys. Didn't go over so well for them. This is Lions Nation right here in Windsor.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a lot of work. We want to thank the people helping us out with the Lions and our team, Sammy and Josh, who run the factory house here, and they've done tons of work working with all Lions people, and it's been a great event. You know what? It's been busy all day. We didn't really know what to expect, but it's been amazing. You know what? I think it's nice that the Lions know how much support they have from Windsor and how many people actually love the Lions and love Detroit. So it's just nice that we have a great team this year. We could all be a part of it together.
About 1,000 people ended up popping through the bar and the tent today, and the team says that they're going to look for more ways to carry on this type of a tradition now that the team is rolling along and Windsor's clearly here to support it. Next week, they're going to be in London hosting another event when the team takes on the Chicago Bears. Chris Hensing, CBC News, Windsor.
Canada Post workers have been ordered to end their strike and be back on the job tomorrow. 55,000 members of the Canadian Union of Postal Workers have been picketing for about a month. On Sunday, the Canada Industrial Relations Board ordered an end to the work stoppage. The board ruled the two sides are at an impasse and unlikely to reach a deal before the end of the year. As we first announced on Friday, longtime CBC Windsor reporter Dale Molnar is retiring, and this is his last week on the job, and he joins me now live at the desk. Dale, first of all, congratulations.
Thanks, Kat. Thanks.
And Dale, you've covered many stories over the years, memorable to you, of course, and to our audience as well. And we're going to cover some of these throughout the week. But tonight we're going to go back 19 years to a heavy one that has really stayed with you, about the murder of Laurie DuPont. What was it like covering that?
Well, you know, it was November 12th, 2005. I'll never forget that date. I was in the newsroom. I heard the scanner go off. Stabbing in the OR at Hotel de Grace Hospital. I covered that story from day one right through to the wrap-up of the inquest 2 years later. Nurse Laurie DuPont was stabbed to death in the operating room at the hospital by her estranged boyfriend, Dr. Mark Daniel. He was an anesthetist at the hospital. He later took his own life that day too. So I covered every day of the 3-week inquest, and here are some excerpts from the story we did as the inquest wrapped up with the jury recommendations.
They have clearly sent a message that hospitals have to afford far greater protection for the safety of their healthcare workers.
The recommendations focus on improving the ability of harassed workers to get help and put the onus on employers to ensure the safety of the workers. The jury is also asking that anyone seeking a peace bond be dealt with more expeditiously in order to save their lives. One of the DuPont recommendations was for a dedicated domestic violence court, something the jury also called for. There were also a number of recommendations calling for better education and awareness of domestic violence in the workplace. Laurie DuPont's mother says she is thrilled with the jury's work.
We certainly found out all the answers we were looking for, and then some.
It has been a difficult 2.5 months for the family, who have had to listen to details of Laurie DuPont's workplace harassment at the hands of her ex-boyfriend, Dr. Mark Daniel, and then heart-wrenching details of her stabbing death by Daniel. Daniel committed suicide with anesthetic drugs afterward, the origin of which were never established. The jury and the DuPonts want to see better investigation of misuse of drugs in the future. They both also want to see hospitals have more power to temporarily suspend doctor privileges.
And Dale, that was a really big story that you covered, and we know that your work was recognized by the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario. You received an award, and it also led to important changes as well. Tell us about that.
Well, the province then enacted legislation to better protect women from workplace harassment. You know, in fact, the places had to put in changes such as putting in place workplace harassment policies, for example.
Absolutely. And Dale, you're going to be back with us tomorrow. We're going to bring more stories that you've covered over the years to mark your retirement as well.
Yep. We're going to be talking about the casino. We're going to be talking about the Gordia Bridge. Lots of other stuff, lots of memories to share.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dale. We'll have you back here tomorrow with us, and stay with us. When we come back, we'll have more out of Ottawa and the economic statement. Stay with us. Welcome back. We told you earlier about Chrystia Freeland's surprise resignation and how it came just hours before she was supposed to deliver the fall economic statement. It was instead tabled by Government House Leader Karina Gould. CBC's Ashley Burke has the details.
A media lockup unlike any other. Journalists showed up to view embargoed copies of the government's fall economic statement just as the finance minister set to deliver it stepped down.
From Finance Minister, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, that she in fact is no longer going to be a finance minister and indeed is resigning from the cabinet.
Amid the bombshell news, the very document stayed shrouded under black sheets for almost 4 hours. It was unclear if it would be released at all until early afternoon. We finally got our hands on this document with about 2 hours rather than 6 to parse through nearly 300 pages of macroeconomic forecasts. And this document is one of the reasons for the split between Freeland and the Prime Minister. Freeland wrote, in the face of Donald Trump's tariff threats, it was important to keep Canada's fiscal powder dry and avoid costly political gimmicks. The budget includes $1.6 billion for a tax break on holiday essentials. In total, there's more than $24 billion in new spending over the next 6 years. And the government didn't stick to its own self-imposed target to keep the deficit down around $40 billion. It's close to $62 billion for the last fiscal year. This financial expert says it's due to one-time costs from COVID liabilities and Indigenous lawsuits.
We're still seeing a relatively high-spending government that is not necessarily keeping enough powder dry for what could happen between now and the next budget.
That uncertainty trumps administration. The government has a $1.3 billion plan to beef up security at Canada's border to respond. The economic projections include what might happen if Trump introduces some tariffs, but doesn't explore what a full-out trade war would look like. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
And in a hasty appointment, veteran cabinet member Dominic LeBlanc has been sworn in as the new finance minister. He says he continues to support Prime Minister Trudeau, and LeBlanc says focusing on the Canadian economy will be key, as well as dealing with cross-border issues involving the United States.
We need to also be extremely focused on the challenges that the incoming American administration will pose with respect to the potential imposition of tariffs. I have been doing a lot of work on border security issues over the last number of weeks. I saw two leaders focused on these issues at Mar-a-Lago when we were there 2.5 weeks ago. So I intend to continue to do the work that I have, and I think I have a pretty busy set of issues in front of me, and I'm excited about it.
Meanwhile, Canadians could see some relief when they fill their grocery carts this holiday season. After years of rising food costs, many prices have stabilized, and shoppers could also see a break on one big-ticket dish, the roast turkey. CBC's Paula Duhachik explains.
CBC News used federal retail data to look at how much more it costs to make a turkey dinner after 5 years inflation. The bad news, since 2019, many common recipes have gotten more expensive. For example, baking a batch of sugar cookies will cost you 38% more than it did 5 years ago. Cooking mashed potatoes will cost you 31% more. And making a tray of dinner rolls from scratch, that'll be about 29% more. The good news is in the last year, the cost of many ingredients has started to stabilize. The median wage has also gone up about 24% since 2019.
We're seeing some slight relief from where we were a year ago, so things aren't getting worse. It's still more expensive to eat a holiday dinner than it was 4 or 5 years ago, but it's the pressure is coming off a little bit as compared to a year ago.
Shoppers could also get a break this year on what, for many people, is the most expensive item on their holiday dinner table, the turkey. Federal data shows that so far, turkey prices are trending down this year. Economists say that could be because there are more turkeys available, and they say demand might also be down as shoppers squeezed by the high cost of living avoid the meat case altogether. Paula Duhachik, CBC News, Calgary.
Coming up tomorrow on Windsor Morning, photos from a 1970s refugee camp in Lebanon are displayed in the front windows of a Windsor coffee shop. Host Amy Dodge will meet one of the family members in those pictures. That's tomorrow on 97.5 FM. Colette Kennedy is back with us once again. Colette, a gray day today, but hope for a little bit of sunshine tomorrow?
Yeah, I think in the afternoon, that's right. We might be okay and get a little bit of that cloud deck breaking up for us. So we can look forward to that. Obviously, some mild conditions for today, up to around 8 degrees in the early afternoon and 10 degrees currently, 9 for Chatham, Kent, and Sarnia as well. So as the system moves through, it is a mild one, and that's why the precipitation in the form of the rainfall in terms of what we're experiencing and not having to deal with a wind chill. That's going to be a different scenario, though. By the time we get to the end of this week and into the weekend, some very cold air is going to be moving in. And of course, it's officially the first day of winter on Saturday. So we'll get to that. But just looking at your sustained winds, these are going to pick up a little bit, turn a bit more towards the southwest to west, and get a little bit stronger. So a bit breezy, not only tonight, but even tomorrow, kind of a westerly flow around 25, 30 kilometers an hour. There are some of those periods of rain, and really all that's left behind, this is a quick moving system, are some sort of light showers here and there. So we have that into the evening hours and maybe a portion of overnight. Mostly what will be left behind, other than a stray shower, will be that cloud deck. And that's what I want to see us breaking through. So let's roll this forward and watch the activity. As the main moisture source moves on through, we get into tomorrow morning. We'll go in for a closer look. Still quite a bit of cloud cover, but see how it wants to break up as we get into the afternoon. So maybe becoming even a mix of sun and cloud, or at least some sunny breaks in there. And then this next system is coming in. Now another quick mover, but that one is coming in for Wednesday and may give us a little bit of a dusting of some light wet snow, which is likely to mostly melt on contact, but I'll get into more detail with that when it gets a bit closer. So we'll take another look at that one tomorrow night, okay? Rainfall accumulation, what we've seen from this one, because it's moving so fast, negligible, gets a little more significant the further east or northeast you are. Overnight temperatures, yeah, we're going to cool down behind this system. So 2-3 degrees through the overnight, 1-2 for Leamington, Chatham, Kent. Tomorrow up to 5, likely kind of earlier in the day, and then we'll find that temperature sliding down to freezing. Wednesday, at least some light flurries from that next system. They could be a bit wet though, or mixing. Thursday, cloud cover. Friday, again, some flurries. And there's that colder air. Yes, doesn't that make sense? Winter starts Saturday, -8. And then -13 Saturday night. So definitely gets chilly into next weekend.
Well, it all makes sense. Thanks so much for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
And thanks to you all for watching. We will see you back here tomorrow.